Oh,
Oh,
DJ.
that was
All right,
that's
brother.
nice.
First day of the first week, or sorry, first full week of Q2, brother. Right? Like
Yes, this
this
is the
is,
time, guys. This is
I
the
know.
time to catch up.
First full week, and it's Mayhem Monday.
Ah,
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. All right. I almost hit end stream there. Right there. That
oh
would
no,
have been a great intro. That would have been a good intro. Happy
that is
Monday
interesting.
morning, Lisa. Good morning, Jeff.
Happy Monday, Lisa.
Lisa's still beating Jeff by a second saying hello.
Ah,
1
I
second.
love it.
It's that like down to the wire, 1/8 of a second is everything, right? So it's the beginning of the first full week of Q2, DJ. So before we get into Mayhem Monday, just thought we'd take kind of if you could take a quick kind of minute or so, and what Q2, what do you see happening in Q2? Did you get everything done in Q1 you wanted to get done?
Mm,
Let's just kind of play with that for a minute, and then
yeah,
and then
yeah,
let's dive into
yeah.
Mayhem
So,
Monday.
so Q1 was interesting, at least for me. Got clarity at least on the one deal that we thought was going to be something big, but we are making. I honestly think Q2 is going to be the quarter for us. So. Got a few other acquisitions kind of going on, and I think we're getting close. So,
You're
hopefully
like
by
the
June,
acquisition king
by,
over here, right?
yeah,
Screws
by
big,
June,
basically.
hopefully by June.
Got it. Well, now is it still in the like apple farming and all that kind of stuff? Because then you hit like August, which is like main
Yes,
export and all that. So you're
exactly.
kind of
No,
going
no,
into
no,
like,
no. So these are two
oh,
different things.
okay. Geez, you're going from farmer to three-piece suit in an office.
no, 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 no suits, no suits.
No, perfect, 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 perfect. Yeah, I think Q2 is going to be the best quarter
yeah,
I've ever experienced in my life. Um, it's there are things
yeah. We've got
happening.
we've gotten a lot of work done in Q1. Can we?
Yeah, no, no, no. I mean, hey, listen, you know what? Like, okay, so let's take sales chatter for example, right? Q1, we went from like
Crazy.
averaging 32 downloads a week, to well over 700 consistently now, in as little as 90 days, right? I mean, it goes to show the power of consistency,
Yes.
like the power of bringing things
You
to the
nailed
forefront.
it. You're the one who told me go live for a year. Whatever mentor told you that, go live for a year.
Mhm.
You'll never have to worry about business again.
Yeah,
I believe it.
100%. And it's that consistency, right? It's. I mean, I don't know about you, but there's some mornings I feel like there's so much going on. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh boy, and I'm like, okay, settle in, take a deep breath, do the show. What are you doing after the show? And some
Yeah.
days I look at the just what's on my plate,
List.
and it really is, it's anxiety producing, huge. And it's like okay, so how do I and here's kind of the big question for me that I ask myself every day: who needs me on my A game?
Mm.
And that question puts a whole lot into perspective, right? Like, and I look at it and it's okay, no, that person needs me on the A game. I got to be there. I got to be present for that call. That person needs me on the game. I got to get that stuff produced. And don't get me wrong, I've missed a few deadlines personally. Like the latest deadline that I missed was,
Yeah.
um, um, actually Lisa and Chad said you got to put out an onboarding series of videos in Inception. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. Like we
That's a
so
great
created
idea.
a module called After the Sale. Like, and then, but as I was
Mm.
filming it, I was like, oh, we got to talk about this. And it's like all of a sudden the brain starts going,
All of a
right?
sudden.
And so missed the Friday deadline. It ended up coming out Wednesday. So missed a couple of deadlines for sure. Redid a couple of things for sure.
Hey, nothing
But
goes. No road maps perfect, right?
no, exactly. But you know what? I keep saying Bob Proctor, the late great Bob Proctor said, Dan, you leave Miami and your destination is Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
I've heard
And
heard
right?
this video. I've actually seen him say this on video. Keep going, but
Yeah. And then he goes, and you're in your car. If you turn your steering wheel a quarter of an inch, you're going to end up somewhere nowhere near your destination. And he's like, good or bad, that's where you're going to end up. And it's interesting because,
Very
you know,
interesting.
we have this perception of the map and the way it's supposed to go and like our route. And sometimes life takes us on that quarter inch. And the question is, are you going to get back on track?
Ah.
Right. And to me, that's the way I look at it. And it's, like this Go for No challenge that we're doing. And I know we were on at 2 o'clock for the Go for No challenge, but
But I'm so glad you. Hold on, can I jump in there real quick? Because
of
you
course,
went
brother.
down somewhere that was so good. So with that idea of driving down in the quarter turn,
Mhm.
it's the quicker that we realize. So if you do, if I mean taking this hypothetical and really running with it, if we're in a car, we go the wrong way, but the sooner we notice it, the sooner we could fix.
Mhm.
So the sooner we're aware of that, the sooner we can get back on track. So you
Mhm.
got it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we're going down a rabbit hole now. But speaking of
Uh
that, what the hell did we ever do before like Waze and Google Maps?
Really?
Because
I know
I
we,
remember
we had those
vividly
stupid books. I remember the books. I had to
the
go
Rand
to a gas
McNally,
station
the
to buy
Rand
those
McNally
books so I
books.
can
Yep.
figure out where the hell I was going.
I remember I used to have one. Like, so when I was first started in industry, once I was old enough to rent cars, um, I would be traveling 3 weeks a month, and my business partner would stay back at the office because he had a wife and a child on the way, so he would do all the ops. Like he would manage the ops department, and I was kind of the sales guy. And I remember I had a Rand McNally book for almost every single city and every single state. Like I had
Thomas guy,
stacks,
there it is.
and yeah, and I would kind of look and I'd go, okay. I'd look at, okay, where am I going? I'm going here, and I'd like pull the Rand McNallys, and they would literally be part of my luggage. This is crazy, crazy, right? And
Uh,
I'm sitting there thinking today, right? Because I mean, I don't know if it'd be like riding a bike. If anyone uses those maps, please share
oh,
with us if it's like riding a
please.
bike. But
Yes. Look,
like now it's like you get in, you go beep, 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 and you just drive. Before, I remember going down like the interstate in in California, and I got my knee driving the car, and I'm looking at the map, and I'm like, where the hell am I? Because I mean, I came from, Quebec, I came from Montreal, which had an okay highway system. But when you go down into like LA and like, I mean, it is mind
oh,
boggling
that's
how
hilarious.
big
Oh
that
my goodness.
infrastructure is. And it's probably still too small, but
We're
it was
going
like,
off rails. Gary
we're
thinks
going
we're
way
going
off
crazy
rails,
over
way off
here.
rails. But I'm talking about that for is because you go off route and it took you so much longer to get back
Yes.
on
That,
route. Whereas now it's redirecting, rerouting. And as soon as you hear rerouting, you're like, oh my God, I went the wrong way. So you're like, you're more apparent
yes,
to
you're
it.
more aware. Ding.
Yeah. Do you find, and this is where I'm going with all this long, convoluted story about,
Oh, I love
Rand
it though.
McNally.
I know where you're going.
Okay. Okay. Do you find now that when you get off route, you kind of get back on route quicker? Because
Yes,
you're more
exactly.
like
That
you're more
ding.
aware of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm, me too.
Mm, that
So
was a
what do we
good
got
one.
here? We got Farmer DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He says the Thomas guide. Yes, 100%. Gary says, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
Look, Gary, it's a Monday. We're
Gary,
trying to wake you all up.
brother, we're just all over it. Yes, Rand McNally drove across the country with just one. Yeah, and you could. That was
Just
the beautiful
one.
thing
See,
about it,
that's
right?
impressive.
Welcome, Scott.
That's
Welcome,
a
brother.
big one.
That's almost like that's like my
Yeah,
James
that's.
Allen Mind is the Master book that Rand McNally. Hey, all right, DJ, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, so everybody get ready because DJ waits till the last second to go.
Oh, come on. Stop
All right,
right now. Right there.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
I think we might have talked about it. You just totally shocked me, man. I didn't even get through three of them. Automate, delegate, delete. Have we talked about that?
We did. We did. We
Okay, so
did.
let's go. Let's pull that out.
We did.
What I really should do is start pulling the ones out that we've talked
I
about.
like that one, though, but yeah.
Would you want to talk about it?
Well, no. No, we could go.
No, call the audible, buddy. Call the audible if you want to call the
No,
audible.
no. Keep going.
Okay. All right.
I'd like a new one. Go. Right there. Right there.
All right. Oh my God. You're never going to believe this. Map out the route for unstoppable results.
Yes! How does that
Brother,
happen?
come
Yeah.
on. How
Listen,
does that, in a million years would we
look,
have
I had
picked that
this
one?
quote since we started. By the way,
What's the
too.
quote?
This way.
Just go. Go for it. Go for it.
All right, the quote is, "You cannot go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending."
So that's like a map. That's like a map. So
It's a map.
oh yeah, I did this one in Inception a couple of weeks ago. This one's fun.
That
So
is fun.
map out the route for unstoppable results. So this one here is so kind of the process and the thought process behind this DJ was going from ain't got it to got it, because we
Mm,
got great grammar on this show, right? So
I
the
love
way
it.
I look at a map is, what are the 4 or 5 steps from ain't got it to got it? What are the tasks inside those steps? And how do you create follow-ups and updates along the way? So those
Mm,
were the 4 things. And again, we've talked many times where, don't know about you, but my brain kind of works in fours, 4 pillars
mm.
in a house, the 4 corners of
Yeah,
foundation and
four
all that kind
corners.
of stuff.
Yeah,
And so this works for us as sales reps, and this works for customers. And the
yeah.
customer side of it is, okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Customer, here's where we are, here's where we want to go. Here's the 4 big steps that we, as your logistics supplier, are going to do in between. Here's the tasks and the steps. Here's the updates and dates we're going to bring you the results or where we're at and kind of check ins.
Mm,
That's the overall concept of mapping out the route for unstoppable results. Now, mapping it out for us is the same process. And we've talked about this with your big 5 moves. We talked,
yeah.
all that kind of stuff, you're moving the needle. So we're here. We want to go here in our sales. What are 4 to 5 big moves, big steps in between that we have to do? So
Mm,
things like better prospecting, maybe getting better equipped on our schedule and better focused on our schedule. Maybe it's we need to understand human psychology better and how people, when their eyes move or when things happen, how do we do this? Maybe we have to, a big move might be getting comfortable with silence, right? Like on
mm.
sales calls, how many sales
Yeah,
reps like just can't be
just
silent?
start to talk. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like it's silent. It's like, okay, just everybody take a deep breath for a second. It's like, oh no,
yeah.
I gotta say something. I gotta say something because we can't have
No,
silence, right?
no, let him go. Let him go. First one to talk
Exactly.
loses.
Yeah. First one that, what was it? What was Grant? Was it Grant Cardone's first one to talk is sold? He's the one that's sold, and the other one just sold you that, right? Um,
Yes, sir.
but it's so talk to me about when you hear mapping out a route for success.
I,
What do you picture when
I
you see
think
it?
so. I even start, and I think where most people kind of struggle, and I struggle myself really, is even the map itself, getting clarity on the goal, on the finish line. Like if you don't have an exact target, kind of you going back to the Bob Proctor thing with the car. If we don't know exactly where we're going, in your example, I forget where you said, but we don't know exactly where we're going. How do we even know how to get there? So how do we even know how
Mhm,
to start? So
mhm,
just the clarity of knowing what your goals are or what your dreams are, or whatever you're going for, whatever that target is. I think that there's so much power to that I think a lot
mhm,
of people just like go by because they're like, this is what I want, and they just don't really think more into, okay, what does that mean, and what do you have to do to get that, and what is it going
mhm.
to take? And it's the same thing with those steps you're talking about, but I think the first part that makes people have struggle to pick what those big 4 or 5 moves are is the clarity.
I love that
Would
you
you
said
agree?
that. Oh, 100%. I remember when I first made the decision that I'm going to do over $1 million GP.
Yeah.
And I remember finding a sales rep that was doing 1.6 at the time. And I said, can I get 20 minutes of your time? And he said, sure. And I couldn't believe it. Like, it wasn't even from the company I was at or the company, like, it was totally different. I just found someone, started asking questions, talked to a couple of people. They said, you got to talk to this person. Went and spoke to them and sat down with them. And we did it virtually because they were in the US. And I asked the questions like, what does it take
Mm,
to build a business that size, like of profit? So
yeah.
we're talking, depending on your margin, could be 15, $20 million in business. I said, like, what does it take?
Yeah.
And I remember because it was a couple of months before we opened Teamwork Freight Systems, the brokerage I owned. And he was like, listen, your ops has to be buttoned up. You want to do more with less. And he gave me about 15 different things
Mm,
that I had to do. And I was like, okay. And he goes, you need to understand this piece of the business. You need to understand this piece of business. You need to understand the invoicing flow. He goes, like what you really need to do is you need to eliminate all the back and forth. So like one email has all the details instead of six emails. He goes, because once you start moving high volumes, he goes, if you're sending six emails for every load that you move instead of one email, a very coherent email, he goes, you got to think you're moving 50, 60 loads a day. He goes, that adds up and takes up your time. And he goes, and when your time is taken up on that kind of crap, he goes, you don't have time to sell,
Exactly.
qualify better. And he told me all of these things. And that actually mapped out my moves.
See, but
Just understand.
you're key to that whole process is you started with somebody who already did it. I think that, and I
Mhm,
think that's where most people fail. Like, find somebody who already did it.
mhm.
They'll tell you. I mean, you find the right person, they'll tell you this is what you got to do, and this
Well,
is what it takes.
people that are, and I'm gonna have to watch the way I say this, but people that are higher up in success, like in
Mhm.
whatever that version of success is to you, everybody has a different perspective of what
Correct.
success is, right?
Correct.
Josh Hines taught me that. Even Napoleon Hill, he says like you have to understand what your version of success is. What DJ's
Yes.
version of success is might not be what my version
Totally.
is. It might
Yeah.
be similar, but it won't be exact. And the higher you go on that ladder, the more people are willing to give you their time, right? It was the big
Yes.
reason I started selling CEOs instead of traffic managers. And no
Yeah.
offense to any traffic manager listening, but when the CEO hears something that could be beneficial to them, to their company, to the overall profitability of their company, they're going to listen. They're
Gonna
going to
listen.
give you 5 or 10 minutes. And that was the only reason I went to the top and took Catherine's course all those years ago, was because I was like, well, I want people to listen for what we can really offer, not because I caught them when two of their employees called in sick and he was, he or she was way overworked and on the floor and didn't want to be on the floor. Because you got to remember, right? Like when you're in that vortex in the eye of the storm, sometimes it's hard to see out of it. And
Yeah.
that was a big eye opener. When I wrote my first book, I remember going to like a writing school or a writing class and a writing seminar, and I'm researching. And then I remember sitting down with a mentor, and he says, there's four moves to writing a book. First, write a really good book. That's your first move. Figure it out, figure out the formula, figure out the outline, write a good book. Then share it with everybody. And he like walked me through four steps, whereas I thought there was like 25 steps to writing a book. No. Do you have a book? I go, no. He goes, then that's your first step. Write a book
First step.
and write a good book, like
Ah,
a book that
love it.
give everything you have in the book, every single strategy, every single idea, everything that you have, give it in the book. And that's where I learned, the whole Tony Robbins mentality, where he was like, listen, books are like 4 years, 2 years, 9 months, 12 months, 5 years of somebody's life
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah.
whittled down into like 200 pages. Like that is power, right? And
Yes.
so in our sales, mapping out that route, I think is the exact same way. And then if we take that a step further and we land a customer that has a big project, can you map that project out in 4 or 5 moves? And here's the gold in that, DJ. When I was doing a lot of business with Magna companies, and Magna started doing like solar farms and stuff. And we would map out. And Steve, if you're watching, shout out to you, brother, because Steve and I were partners on that those gigs. We
Nice.
would map out the process and we'd give it to the customer. It's okay. Here's like phase one, phase two, phase three,
I like
phase
it.
four, and then every single phase we were both connected, meaning the customer and us were connected towards that goal. And that was probably the best program we ever put together, because everything we would sit down with the supplier. It's
Because
okay.
everybody's on the
Here's,
same page.
thank
Everybody's
you.
on the same
Yes.
page.
Yeah.
Communication and everybody knowing what the heck is going on. I mean,
It was
Greg said
crazy.
it. I mean, that's what Greg's been wishing for. Shout out, Greg. Just
Yeah.
knowing where the hell things are at. But
Yeah, exactly. Clarity with goals in mind, not specific enough. Yeah.
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 Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I like that you said four moves. I think we try to, again, this is with the clarity in mind. I guess it's just going back to the Tom Bilyeu keynote, but we We think
overcomplicate everything.
we overcomplicate it. We think we have to add. Oh well, we got to do this too, and we got to no. Just like forget the that's just break it down. What four things? What five things? Like it really
Mhm,
can just be broken
mhm,
down. How am I going
mhm,
to get there? Break it down to four things,
mhm.
and you really can when you could get
Uh,
that clear.
When
Yeah,
I first started in this industry and I started making big margins,
yeah,
I overcomplicated everything because I said, there's no way we can make this amount of money for doing this little work. There's no
yeah,
way. And now, again, this is beginning of my career. The exchange rate was like 154. We were doing my
yeah.
whole,
You guys are killing
the whole company, the whole training was backhaul into Canada, use Canadian carriers, charge US dollars. So you're making 56%
it.
if
Yeah,
even
you're
if you
making
go
the
dollar
exchange.
for dollar, you're
Yeah,
making the exchange. And I remember it was like, I mean, I'm watching rips of, 1,500, 2 grand. And I'm like, there's no way. Like literally the truck's going to be here in 48 hours and I've made 2 grand. Like, and it was like, okay, there's got to be something more. So I would add like all these check calls and all these things and all these reports and everything. And I was so bogged down with reports. It's like, okay, like, and it was freaking me out that I was like, it's not this easy, and it's not, right? Like
it's not.
logistics isn't. It's
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 not.
very challenging. The concept is simple, but it's not easy as a
Yeah,
industry. But it was like I was adding 19. I'm glad you said that because I was adding like 19 different things to every load.
yeah.
Like each load would be like an inch
Yes, right.
stack of papers and all this, right? And it was like, why are you doing it? Like literally stressing myself out because I was making money. Like, is that not whacked or what? Like
Yes, yes.
crazy,
I agree.
crazy
I
how we
agree.
do
I
it.
agree. But we do it. But we do it because we do think that. Well, this sounds too easy.
Yes. Kenneth has this. Tony Dungy. So he wrote, oh man,
Smart
what was the
guy.
book I
Smart guy.
studied? There
Thanks
was
for
a
sharing
book
that,
we
kind of.
we did. Yeah, I love that. There was a book, one of Tony's Dungy's book we did at Bible study where we every week we would go in a group of guys and we'd talk about this book. And he like Kenneth, you're so right, man. He'd master a few. And I mean,
Your
wow,
go-to.
life changing, right? Absolutely. Because it's like the generalist or the strategist, right? Generalist knows a little bit about a lot of
About a
things. The
lot of things.
strategist says, "Hey, here, these 5 things. This is my wheelhouse." And if you
Yeah.
look, you look at like say Gary V, for example, right? Gary V will be the first one to say, "Dude, I talk about 4 things. I just say it in about 150 different ways
Bunch
because
of different
one
ways,
way
but
you
it's the
won't
same.
understand, the next way you will." Or, and he goes, "I only talk about 4 things."
Mm,
And it's just like, and hence the reason the 5 topics, right? Sales strategy, personal development, industry news, productivity, and stickability. Those 5 things are the only things I'll talk about. I
that's
just talk about them in a million different ways.
it.
So, because again, right? Like, how many times have you heard a speaker or somebody? It's like, yeah, I kind of get, and then all of a sudden on YouTube, somebody says the same thing in a different way. You're like, oh my god, the light bulb just went off.
Exactly.
Yes, right.
Exactly. Yep.
That's why everyone
All the
has their
time.
guru. As Tony Robbins says, I'm not your guru, right? And I don't know if you've ever seen that Netflix special, but that's a
Oh yeah.
great special.
That is a great
I think it's
special.
Netflix. I think it's Netflix, but
It was
um,
Netflix. Yes, and
yeah.
it was a great special. But yeah. To to Ken's Kenneth little thing right there. Yeah, the post or the comment. Yes, having those few that you can go to right away. I mean, that's just to get you back. If you think of the mentality of that, it's just to get you back on track. Or I guess fall in that road track. I just remember being a quarterback in football. If you were struggling, you want to go to that play that you know is going to work every time because it's like, okay, there's that little bit of confidence, and then you just got to build that. But it's also what brings you back on track. So yeah, no, I
Mhm.
agree completely.
Yeah. How many victories were won by going back to the basics,
Yeah,
right? The
yeah.
stuff you know well, the stuff you practice all the time.
Well,
Like, so as I mean, I don't think we can get a better topic for the start of Q2,
I don't
right?
think
Like
so.
so look at this in Q1. If any of y'all missed your goals in Q1,
It's okay.
now's the time. Today, meaning in the next hour, I'm going to challenge you to stop everything you're doing,
Yeah,
take the next hour, or 2 or 3, or hell, take the entire day if you're going to be productive enough,
Yeah.
and map out Q2. Where do you want to be at the end? What are the
Clarity.
big
Clarity.
4 things? Thank you. Clarity. Big 4 things that you need to do. Is it prospecting more? Is it prospecting better? Is it getting more analytical on your sequence? Like, what is it? Right? Is it blocking time? Is it adhering to your schedule? Is it creating more drive? Like, what are the big 4 things that you need to do? Is it talking to all of your present customers to get more business or figure out the business? Is it getting reference letters? Like, all of these things are tasks inside a big move
Yep.
that we need to do. You're actually better. What was it? Was it Einstein? I think it was Einstein that said, if you had an hour to cut down a tree, what would you do? He said, I'd sharpen the axe for 55 minutes.
Yes.
He goes, and I'd plow through the tree like it was butter. And I don't think, and even us, DJ, I could say,
We,
speak for
we,
myself. I
oh
don't
yeah.
think I spend enough time sharpening my axe. I like get into this deliverable
Listen,
mode.
we're human. We're not going to do
Yeah.
anything perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Like I get
no,
into
I
this
agree.
action mode,
I
right? Like
agree.
how many times have you ever done that where you get into this action mode and you're taking so much action, you're like, damn, if I would have planned just another 30 minutes.
Yes. Yes, all the time, all the time. But that's where Tom Bilyeu, I think, his keynote. I just seen it, so that's why I'm so on it right now. But he says, if you want to know how clear you are, to be so clear on your direction, on your goals, you should know what you're supposed to do in the next 15 minutes. If you know
Mhm.
what you're supposed to do in the next 15 minutes, that is those 4 steps, those 4 moves, those 5 moves, whatever, that's taking you to your goal, then you are laser focused and clear. And it
Mhm.
was like, wow, okay, yeah, that's next level. But that's really mapping out your day, your life, your time blocking. I mean, that's when I heard him say that. I mean, that's my day right
And
now.
the beautiful thing about these moves is I like the 4 because
Mhm.
4 times 5, right? So what I do is every day I
Yep,
do one of the 4 moves towards the goal. And when you know what they are, it's easy to strategically put it in your calendar and stick to it because again, like you said, here's the destination. You're very clear. You know these 4 moves will get you there.
yeah,
So what are you going to do? Every day you're going to come out, you go, well, if I want to go here, I need these 4 moves.
need
Day
to.
by day by day by day. And if you just plot all 4 of them every day into your calendar, it's okay. I got to work on this, and maybe I got to read a chapter, or maybe I got to, I get a persuasion book and understand the
Yes,
psychology of persuasion and how to say things in a certain way, or words that people pay attention to, and how do I improve my email structure? How do I improve my open rates? Right? It's like the question you ask. I used to ask myself every day walking into the office. When I would walk in the front doors of the office, I'd say, how am I going to give myself a raise today? That was my trigger when I
I
walked
love
in.
that
How am I
question.
going to give
Yes.
myself a raise today? And not am I, how am I? And
Mm.
that was like my trigger walking through. As soon as I would step up in the front doors and go, how am I going to give myself a raise today as I'd walk up the stairs? And that prepped me
Whoever's
finally.
watching this right now, write that down because I think that's a great one. Write it down now. But if anybody, I'm sure most of you guys are sitting on a computer. Write it down and put it right. How am I going to give myself a raise today? I think that's great because in this industry, in sales, period, it's the only industry that we control it. Your efforts, your work, what you do says I make this or I make this.
Mhm,
That's it. There's
mhm.
nothing else that controls that, and that's what made me fall in love with it a long time ago.
Absolutely. I love this, Greg. He says it has to be put into a playbook. You don't play the game without a playbook. Write it down and keep it in your pocket. Seriously, put it
Yes.
in your pocket. You know, it's so Bob Proctor called those his goal cards. And the way Bob Proctor taught the world to do it is I am so happy and grateful now that I'm $1 million producer. Bang, 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 bang. Right.
Yes.
And you know what, Greg? That's actually I'm gonna start doing that again because for years I carried gold cards in my pocket. I'm gonna
I
make
did
one
too.
today.
I did too.
I'm gonna
H.
make one
Gregg.
today.
Shout out to H. Gregg. They're no longer around, I don't think, but their training was top notch with products, and that was a big thing. I literally, until I started doing it on my phone, I had a note card with 3 month, 6 month,
Oh,
1 year goals, 5 year goals, personal and business. Every single day, they were pitched it nonstop. Write them down, keep them in your pocket. And sure enough, I religiously did it. So yeah, it works.
yeah. So give me a second here. I think actually this is my Thinking into
Yeah.
Results program with Bob Proctor
Okay.
and Sandy Gallagher. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, look,
No way. Oh, there it
my
is.
goal, my goal card.
Oh,
So
I
there we
love
go.
it.
There we go. I've actually got, man, that's it. All this is coming together. So yeah, this is a remarkable program. But yeah, so thank you,
Yeah, that's
Greg. Thank you for
great.
reminding me of that, brother. We are so going to
Yeah,
I'm going to do that.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Jeff, I
HA
love it.
Greg was a client of mine as well as Circuit City.
Good choices.
Nice,
Good
nice.
in.
All right, DJ,
All right.
brother.
I g
Actually, did we stole your quote at the beginning?
No,
Did you
no,
get another
I got
one?
another one. Listen, I'm always
Oh, okay,
prepared.
okay,
Always
cool. Okay.
prepared.
All
Um,
right, like a Boy Scout, DJ the Boy
like a
Scout,
Boy Scout. That's right.
Farmer DJ the Boy Scout. Yeah.
Playbook for. I love that. Hold on, share that up real quick, Kenneth. Yes, exactly. And I agree with that so much. Write it down. Makes and make a playbook.
Playbook for Q2, 100%.
Yes. All
Mm.
right, guys. Well, hey, again, start to Q2. Hopefully, we got you ready. Got you motivated. Got you ready to go. Make this week a killer week. Make Q2 your bitch. We'll just say it. Make it your bitch. And and do what you got to do. But listen, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Start your day
Sorry,
right with
DJ.
us. I got him laughing. He can't even
You
control
got
himself.
it, brother. You got it. You just made my day. That's awesome.
I got a good one for you. So, 6 months from now, you will either have 6 months of excuses or 6 months of progress. The choice is yours. Boom!
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information.